Hi, we're in Cricut Design Space and we're going to be doing this Irish iron-on t-shirt, and I've got the design all ready for you, so it's going to be a really simple process. The only thing is, when you go to cut it, you want to have two different colors, so we'll deal with that at the same time. So let's just get rid of our text here. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to click on upload. We're going to upload an image, and in this time it's called Irish Love. It's an SVG file you'll find in my resource library, and we're going to click open and call it Irish Love. Looks good. Let's save this. Let's click on it and let's insert the images, and then let's bring it all together. Now you'll see that it is one large piece, but I'm not too sure if it will fit on my t-shirt because that's pretty broad and wide. So in order to do that, I'm going to come up to templates here, and I'm going to find a t-shirt. Any t-shirt will do. This is a baseball one, so let me pick on that. And this is going to fit on the front. So what I want to make sure is that it is going to fit where I want. But if I come up here and take a look, you'll notice that the width is 10.543, which is perfect. Our biggest obstacle is the height. Now it's just over 12 inches. Now that is not going to be an issue because you can go on the same mat with it at 12 inches. There's just a little trick about what you have to do because it's these edges that are going to come down. Now we got lots of cut pieces and it doesn't look like anything's really attached together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to have to pick on the pieces one at a time. And we've got this piece. I'm going to have to scroll down. There is the two pieces that I missed, holding down the shift key and the shift key. And I should have them all now. We're going to go back and going to re-weld this. Let's see if I've got them all. And yes, I do. So that is one piece we're going to cut in the green. And we'll learn to line that up a little later. So now what I am left with is all these black pieces here, and I'm going to highlight those and I'm going to weld those together. Now they're both one piece, so it's going to be a lot easier to fit. So if I hold this down here, that's definitely 8.5 by 8, and this one is the 10 by 12.05. Now it's going to complain that it's a bit big for the mat, but that is okay. All we need is these two pieces together, and we're going to cut those separately with iron on. Now you can use an iron on vinyl, or you can decide to use pattern iron on, or you can print and cut it, but it's a bit wide. You can't have it this wide for the printing. So we're definitely going to cut this with vinyl, and then when it comes time to put it together, it's going to be really easy. So let's go over to Make It. And you see it's slightly over the 12. What it does is it spits up here, it spits up a longer mat, which is perfect. If you have a longer one, you can use it. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much because it's not really over what you want. What we're going to do is cheat a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then of course the second mat is green, and it looks like we're all good to go. There's just the two pieces to cut, and I'm just going to click OK here because I don't care, and I'm going to click on continue. It may or may not connect to my maker. It's been spitting out a few problems today. Looks like it's already connected to another project, so we're not going to do this part. Just pause for a second. Click on retry and just see if it will connect to my device, and I'm going to do it on the maker. Now for this you probably want to use an everyday iron-on or a glitter iron-on, depends what you want. I am going to do glitter iron-on for my shamrocks, and I'm going to do an everyday iron-on for the black pieces. So if I click on one or the other, I will be able to select which one I want. So if I decide glitter iron-on for this one, all I have to do is load it and put it in the mat. Now, one other thing before we start to cut, let's think about these two pieces. The word love. If you are using an iron-on, we are going to need to mirror these. So we're going to have to click on cancel. Do you want to cancel the cut? Yes. What we want to do is mirror and come to this one and mirror as well. Now it is so easy to forget to mirror. I always look back and say, oh, it's words, I have to go back. So we'll mirror both of those and then we'll continue. And then I can go ahead and choose the papers that I want. I want my glitter iron-on for the green. So once I've cut that and it comes up with this one, what you have to do is come up here to the base material set, click on the glitter iron-on, and then pick your everyday iron-on. Now I have mine in a default list, but if you can't find it, you're going to have to click on Browse All Materials and type in what you're looking for. For example, I can put in iron. I don't have to type the whole word out, and I can click on Search, and this will give me a whole list of different things that I can use for iron-on. So that is all there is to setting this up. Let's get it cut, and then let's go over to the demo table and we'll put this whole thing together. Okay, we are ready to do our iron-on project. I have pre-weeded both pieces. I did a glitter iron-on for the shamrock and the little hearts, and then I did an everyday iron-on material for the love piece of it. Now they're both going to have a different heat for when it comes to ironing these on, and I'm just going to pull those apart for now. I've put them on top of each other. So what happens is that this everyday iron-on only takes 300 degrees and it's for 15 seconds and it's a cool peel, while this one will take 330 degrees for 30 seconds and it's also a cool peel. So this one's going to hold the heat a lot better, but we are going to layer these on top. So I don't want to heat this one too much, so I'm actually going to put this one on second and this one on first, but it's going to take a little aligning when we do that. I'll just move these over to the side. First thing I want to do, and I know you can't see this, we want this at 330. Just going to set my easy press to 330, and then we're going to set the time, and they want the time at 30 seconds, so let me just hit the time here. We'll give it 30 seconds. Now they're both what they call a cool peel. I'm just going to let that heat up. Let me just move this out of the way for a moment. Now I am going to put it on a shirt that has a polyester blend to it. There's a couple of preparatory things that I want to do here. Now for this particular shirt, I want to be able to figure out where the center is going to be, because if I put one piece on, I want the other piece on top of it. But I'm also going to have to put in my pad underneath. Now this is an older shirt, so it's been pre-washed. We'll start by putting the pad underneath and placing it in the area where I know I want to have the design. So we want this pad here, approximately the center, down a couple inches. So this looks pretty good the way I have it. Now another thing that I like to do, and that is protect my pad that's underneath. And all I do is I just take a piece of cardstock, pretty smooth cardstock, and I put it on top of the pad underneath, and that's going to protect any bleed through so that my pad does not get damaged. Now I mentioned before that we want to put this piece on first, but trying to decide how that's going to work while we heat it up is I need to know where this is going to go. So I am just going to place this. A little difficult to do this. Let me just pull this off. I'm going to place this here and just see where I want it to go, and I'm just going to push down one little corner so it stays in place and doesn't move. Then I want to take my shamrocks here, and this is going to go this way. I'm going to start placing this underneath so I know approximately where I want to go, which is right there. So I'm actually going to push this one down and pull this one off the top. So now I have this placed approximately where I want it. It looks really good. Just make sure it's still on the pad. I'm just going to pull it over a little bit so that I can use this. I want it perfectly flat. That looks really good. Now, I am going to be ironing this down for 30 seconds. I'm using my Easy Press 2. The biggest key here is if I can put the iron directly on this material, no problem. What I don't like is the possibility that some of this will stick to the bottom of my iron. So I actually take another piece of parchment paper and just place it over top. And now I can bring in my iron over top. Know I've got it centered approximately the way I want it. And I will be able to then take care of what I need to do. Now I'm just going to press it down just a little bit to heat it up while we're waiting for this to heat up. I'm just going to move this over to the side. Now the reason I placed it down that way, I just want to make sure it's sticking the way I want it and it's in the right place before I really get to pushing it down. Now that looks really good. Looks like we're heated and ready to go. So all I want to do is not move this. Just push my C. All right, move my iron out of the way. What I'm going to do is move my top piece of paper, and because it's a cool peel, I'm actually going to take out the pad from underneath. And the reason I'm going to do that is it will cool a lot quicker once it's on its own. Let's just see if I'm pushing it too far first. No, looks like we are going to get our peel. One piece of it doesn't want to come down, so I'm just going to make sure it stays there because we are applying heat again. So I'm not going to worry too much if something comes up a little bit. There we go, the rest of it's okay. Lots of little pieces here, so you have to be extremely careful. You don't pull up what you don't want moving. Looks good. Dots are working fine. Yes, we got our stem. See, this one came up a little bit here, but that's fine because I have another piece to put over top. Perfect. So now I can get rid of that piece of paper. So now we have the first part of our shirt completed. Now I'm going to put the pad and the cardstock back inside the shirt because now we're going to put the next piece on, but it doesn't require such a high temperature. This next piece requires now only 300, so I'm going to reset my heat to 300. That looks good, and it says for the timing is 50 seconds. So let's go down to 15. Whoop. But now is our chance to place the other piece. Now that we know we have this one in exactly the place we want it, now the test is how are we going to place the one that fits over top so that we have the design that works. Now we know those circles go here and the love goes through here. So I just gently push things down, just make sure they line up, and it looks like we are pretty good. And that is because we placed the other one correctly in the first place. Now our iron is almost ready. I don't need to iron this one down like I did the other one, but certainly I'm going to press this down, and it's only 15 seconds. Now, As I mentioned before, the one that's already down there had a longer heat span, and it was also a cold peel, so the extra heat's not going to make much of a difference. If I had done it the other way around, we might have had problem with our everyday iron-on. Now I'm going to give it a little rub here, just to make sure everything sticks in place. Once again, I'm going to take the top off. And we want this to cool down, so I'm going to take out the mat and the top paper, which is extremely hot right now. And now we have to wait for this to cold peel again. Oh yes, finally. Nice cold peel. I can get rid of my backing. Now we still have an issue with one small piece here. And what you can do is apply some extra heat just to that area. Now I need to put the pad underneath and a little piece on top. I'm going to try it without the backing this time. So I just push this underneath. I like to make sure things are on there because if you wash the shirt, you want to make sure that it's going to work for you. Okay, I've got a couple of spots where it's peeling up. There's one here and one here. Everything else looks pretty good. So there's those two pieces. So what I'm going to do is pull this over top once again, and I am just going to heat it just like this without that extra piece. And let me just hit the C. And I don't have to worry about peeling this time because I've got the heat that's going directly in the area. Now I'm just holding it down a bit. I don't want to rub it. I want the heat to penetrate right through. It could be that the plastic on top doesn't always penetrate. Now, when you go to do your own iron-on projects, you're going to run into problems like this all the time. Some things will come out perfectly, some will not. So now, because I had the protective cover, I can move that and you'll see that my piece has settled down here, and so is this one. I just have to let it cool down now. So that is our iron-on Irish Love t-shirt. I hope you really enjoyed doing this and following me through for things that can go wrong and how to correct those if you do have a problem. Sometimes the iron-on pieces or the vinyl itself just doesn't want to adhere, but there are ways around it. So I really hope you enjoyed this one, and happy crafting.